So you want to make your own picks, and based on the number of questions that I've had on some of my other videos about my own homemade picks and comments and requests for instructions on how I did it, there's a lot of interest out there, and I thought it's only right to do it. Now, before I did it, I put a lot of thought into it. I didn't just nilly-willy grab things. I reviewed what's available on YouTube, and there's a lot of videos out there, but unfortunately most of them cover one aspect. They don't cover everything, like material selection and so forth. So when I was putting the thought into it, I decided that I'm going to do a series of videos, but I'm going to do it right. I'm going to cover a variety of different topics, and from my notes as I started to outline this, I came up with what right now looks like 8 different parts. I'm going to try to keep them all less than 10 minutes, but I'm going to cover the material a little bit more in detail than the other videos that are already on YouTube. All right, so the first one is material selection. Get a lot of questions about what's the best material. What did you make that out of? And my gosh, there's a whole bunch of things out there that you can make picks out of. And I'm going to start with some of the most common ones. The most common ones, of course, are hacksaw blades. These usually come, as you see, in these 3 packs, and the bitting doesn't matter. The coarseness doesn't matter because we're going to grind all of that stuff off. The disadvantage, well, the advantage, of course, is that this is really cheap, and out of this you can probably make 2 or even 3 picks from each blade. Those are the advantages. Widely available around the world, no problem. The disadvantage of these, of course, is if I'm going to make a pick, I want them to last a long time. I don't want them to break or bend, deform in any way. I want to be able to rely on them. And so while these might be cheap and fairly easy to work with, they're also, I'm trying to do this without cutting myself, they're also very brittle. So by the time we thin this down to a working width that will fit into the keyway, suddenly we have a brittle, very brittle, easy to break piece. Normally during working, when we grind these, we're going to change the metallurgical components of this, or structure of this, and it will, if we overheat it, it's going to get soft, in which case it won't shatter. Instead, it will be constantly bending, deforming as we try to pick the lock, and then of course we need to treat this, metallurgically treat it, heat it, in order to reharden it. So those are the disadvantages, and my attitude is, I want to do something right the first time, and so I don't generally make anything out of these hacksaw blades. There's too many other materials out there that, in my eyes, are just a little bit more suitable. One of the other blades, of course, is these junior hacksaw blades. The advantage of those, of course, they're a little bit thinner. They're a little more flexy. By the way, the hacksaw blade itself, the red one that I just showed you, I'm going to try to give thicknesses and all of this stuff, is 0.027 or 27 thousandths of an inch, and for you Europeans it's 0.63 millimeters. So size-wise it's perfect to make picks out of. The same is true of the junior hacksaw blades. I thought I had a package here, but yeah, here we go. There's the package, and each of them inside, there's 3 usually come in a package. They're pretty cheap. They're 20 thousandths of an inch in width, and then that equals 0.53 millimeters. So, but it has the same disadvantages. It's just a little bit thinner than a normal hacksaw blade, but you face the same problems: deformation and early breaking. Doesn't really want to last a long time. Okay, so what else can we get? Well, if we go to the store, we got how about one of these? How about, you've seen these, a hose clamp. You can buy these very cheap. I think I paid less than $1 for this one, and I can't find, it's so long I can't even fit it all into the camera. But it's made from stainless steel. In fact, it's pretty high quality stainless steel. It's the perfect width across here for a pick handle, and it's pretty durable. It's designed to last a long time. And like I said, about $1, maybe $1.50. So that's an excellent material, hose clamps. Another good material, you've seen these earlier, are these stainless steel knives that you can buy in the dollar store. They're great. They're usually high quality. They're made from stainless steel, so it's a pretty hard material. And at least in this case, it was 30 thousandths of an inch. So again, it's the perfect width to make lock picks out of. I advise you, if you're going to go to the dollar store and pick these, before you just buy a batch of them, take your micrometer down there and measure them all. And find one that's stainless steel that measures 30 thousandths or less, and it should work perfectly for you. Again, out of this knife, you can probably make 2 or perhaps even 3 picks if you're careful and lay it out correctly. The next thing you can buy at the hardware store is something called sink cleaner. Now this is a whole coil of 20-foot long coil of, it's not stainless steel, but it is high carbon content steel, so it's pretty good stuff. It's a good width, perfect width to make picks out of, and it is also exactly 30 thousandths of an inch thick, so it's perfect, and that equals 0.8 millimeters in thickness, and comes 20-foot rolls, so very, very cheap. This cost me $7.80 for 20 feet, so making picks with this is a pretty cheap thing to do. Another thing you can buy are feeler gauges. Now, while these might on the surface appear just a little bit too short to make picks out of, if you have a chance to get these very cheaply, get them. They are high carbon content steel, and in some cases they're even stainless steel. And believe me, we can use these. We can just manufacture the tip of our pick out of this material, and it comes in all these different thicknesses. So you can make shims and a wide variety of different widths. And then after you cut the tip, you can fit it into a handle, and I call these quick picks. And I'll show you how to very easily fit the tip into one of these quick pick handles, and we can make those out of common materials as well with hand tools that I think everybody has. Well, what else do we have? Well, let me grab this. We have a roll of wiper inserts. Now, how do you get these? Well, they're really easy to get. I mean, everybody makes a big deal out of it, but I got these at a wrecking yard, and this whole roll, and I don't know, there's several hundred here, cost me $5. And you just approach the guy, you tell him you want to go to pick up used windshield wipers for a project, and they usually don't even care what it's for. And you can go out there, and when you're done, you show them this handful of metal, and they usually charge you some piddly amount of money. Now, something you probably should know about the wiper inserts, and they come in 3 thicknesses. And I wish I could tell you like the Ford has these, and a Chevy has those, and BMW has these, but it doesn't work out that way. A lot of the manufacturers of windshield wipers use different widths, and some of them don't even use metal inserts. So there are 3 thicknesses that you will come across, and I'm just going to call them, on this top one, we're going to call this the wide one. And the wide one, by the way, they all measure somewhere between 25 thousandths and 31 thousandths of an inch thick, and that's roughly 0.6 millimeters and 0.8 millimeters, give or take just a little bit. So they're all the perfect width to make picks or pick tips out of, and they're also perfect to make tension wrenches out of. So anyway, this top one, on the widest one measures 0.15 inches wide, and that's the same as 3.8 millimeters. The medium one that you'll accumulate is 0.136 inches, 136 thousandths, or 3.5 millimeters, and then the very thin one is 0.10, or a tenth of an inch, which is about roughly 2.7 millimeters. So 3 thicknesses that you're going to collect. Don't worry about it, just grab them all. Another thing is if you go to an auto service place and just tell them, take them a plate of brownies. That's what I do at my oil change place. And then the next time I come, usually they have a pile of used windshield wipers for me to take home. Okay, this next, oh, by the way, while you're at the auto place, if you go to a wrecking yard, and again, I can't fit this in, but it's a car antenna, and it's just threaded on there, and this is solid stainless steel. I think it's 303, so it's very hard stainless steel. So very useful in tension wrenches. So if you want to cut this to length, you can make some super tension wrenches by grinding them to fit. Save you some money on music wire, because they'll give you these for about 25 cents each. Okay, enough on that. We're talking about picks. Okay, another type of material, and the one I end up using is stainless steel feeler gauge. And I get this from a company called Eastern Industries, and that's their website at the bottom. I don't work for them, I don't represent them in any way, but I buy their products. That's all I can tell you. It usually will come in these boxes of 12. Let me pull this one apart. And inside of there are individually packed sleeves, and these are, if you can get this far enough back, these are 12 inches long and a ½ inch wide. And of these, I can tell you there's 2 different types. There's the stainless steel, which are red in color, and I buy them in usually about 4 different widths. I buy them in 15 thousandths because I pick a variety of different locks. So 15 thousandths would be kind of like the very thin, the thinnest material that I would use in tightly warded locks. I buy it in 23 thousandths of an inch, I buy it in 26 thousandths of an inch, and I buy it in 31 thousandths of an inch. And again, I use it for a wide variety of locks, and I'll explain that later when we talk about design. Okay, so it comes in these boxes of 12. Each of these pieces runs you about $3, so a box of a dozen will run you about $36. And of this is enough for about, you can make 2 picks per piece, so 24 picks. So if you look at it on a per pick cost, it's about $1.50 each. If you don't want to spend that much money, they also make it in high carbon steel, which I find just as good as stainless steel. Again, it's packaged exactly the same way, except it comes in blue. This one happens to be, I think, in 26 thousandths of an inch. Doesn't matter. I was doing an experiment and it turned out right. And the reason it turned out right is because these only cost $1.70 each, or about, counting shipping, about $20 per box of 12 to have it shipped to your house. And out of that, you can make 24 picks. So pretty good deal, pretty good material. If you're going to be mass producing, they also make it in rolls. And this one is high carbon content, again, part of an experiment, but I got this in 23 thousandths, and it's a 25-foot roll, sorry. And a 25-foot roll is really cheap. This is $31 for 25 feet, so there's enough here for 50 picks for $31, so less, you know, probably 35, 40 cents each by the time you do the math. So that's some of the material you can use to make your picks out of. Okay, I've gone to 11 minutes. I apologize, but as I said, I wanted to cover everything in detail. I'm an anal guy, and I want to do it right, and I want to do it right the first time. So anyway, thank you for your time. Everybody stay safe and stay legal.